Adjusting a blueprint is easy once you've created it, and it lets you really kind of fine-tune a design. I'll press play and check out my single door, and then implement the same kind of animation on the double door. What we can see here, aside from it needing to be tagged as static when parts for the lighting, is that it opens up very nicely. However, there's a small problem, and it's not actually the blueprint for the door, it's the player character. We need to adjust the blueprint because that capsule is very big. This is a 3-foot wide door, and so to not fit through means that that person is unrealistically wide. Actually, well, capsule shaped. I'll hit escape then, and go into that first person blueprint, opening up the first person BP folder in the content browser, and going into blueprints, double clicking on the first person character. There's our blueprint, and we can see in the top left in our components the capsule, and now on the right in the shapes section we've got a height and a radius. I'm going to take this radius down to 30 so it's a little bit narrower and I can fit through that door. I'll compile it and it's clean, not a dirty blueprint with errors. I'll close it and play once again and then look at that double door. When I hit play, what we can see here is this door opens up nicely and now I can navigate through. It's working well, and when I enter and exit, it closes, although there's a little bit of a pause there. I'll hit escape and edit this single door blueprint one last time and then make the double. Here in my blueprint section, I'll double click on the single door. And what we can see here, double clicking on the door swing timeline, is that it goes between 0 and 1.5 seconds. However, the length of the timeline is 5, and that's where we're seeing that delay. I'll check Use Last Keyframe and compile. Now when I try it again, it should open and close nicely for me. The door is open, I back out, and it closes. Come towards it, it opens, back away, closes. Working perfectly. Now double click on the double and put some animation into it. Here in my double door blueprint, I've got my door frame, and I'll look in the viewport. My trigger I've added in, the same sphere. My door left and right, constrained by sockets to places. We can see here that their parent sockets are hinge right and hinge left respectively. Now I'm going to get some animation in. I'll pick my trigger and go into the event graph, dragging off the actor begin overlap and creating a timeline. I'll add a timeline in, and this timeline will drive both doors. I'll call this timeline Door Swing and go add my keys in, making sure it's actually Door Swing, not Do Swing. I'll double click on it, add a float track in, right click and add keys at 0 with a value of 0. Right clicking and adding a key at, this time I'll say 1.6 with a value of 1. A little bit slower because it's a double. I'll zoom to fit horizontal and vertical, select both of those keys, right click and set them to auto, and just make this a little bit faster on the open. Then I'll check Use Last Keyframe and go back to the event graph. Now I've got my new track in here, which I can rename in that door swing and connect it to a lerp node. I'll call it swing and set up my lerps. I'll right click and type in lerp, and I'm going to need 2 of them. Here's one float lerp, and I'll copy it, pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Now that I've got 2 lerps, I'm going to right click on the pin for A and promote it to a variable, and right click on B and do the same. I'll separate these out, naming these variables R closed and R open, maintaining unique names for each. Then I'll pick the other lerp node, right click and promote to variable both A and B, and I'll name these. This will be left closed and left open, and this way I can keep them all straight. I don't have values yet, but I'll need to get those. But I can take my swing from that timeline and connect it to both. I'll do a little bit of organizing of my lerp so we can see it cleanly. And I'll take swing, drag out, put it into the alpha of one lerp, and then put it into the second, so that this animation triggers both doors, and I'm okay with them twinning at the moment. Now that those are in place, I need to get some rotations in. I've got door left and door right. What I'll do is right-click and type in set, R-O-T-A, set rota will work, and here's set actor, relative rotation, and so forth. And I'll pick set relative rotation for door left, and do it again for door right. Now I've got those both in, and I'm going to split apart that rotation, splitting the structural pin by right-clicking, and connecting the return value of the lerp for the right door to the right pins. Here's right door to right yaw. And here's the return value from the left to the left yaw. Now get the updates connected, and finally some values. There's a theme here. We update between executable, and we have values plugging in the green. These are floats. I'll take my update over to the door left, and then I'll let door left update door right. Now I just need those values in there, and I'll compile this blueprint and see if it looks good. I'll go to the viewport. In here, I'll pick my door left and press E for rotate, and open it up. So it looks like it goes between 0 and, we'll call it 95. Door right then, undoing that, will go between 0 and negative 95. In the event graph then, I'll put in those variables. Door left closed starts at 0. Left open goes between 95 degrees. Right closed is at 0. Right open goes to negative 95. And the last thing I need here is a reverse node so they close. I'll pick my trigger and roll up sockets and shape and so forth and get to my events down at the bottom. Here in the events, I can find on component end overlap and hit the plus next to it. And there's that event ready to go. Now I'll take the end overlap to trigger the reverse of the timeline, closing the doors. I'll test this out, compiling the blueprint and hitting play. When we hit play, we can see in here we've got some double door blueprints. When I get close to them, they open, and it looks like my radii are a little bit big as I triggered both, but it's definitely working. They're swinging out towards me and revealing the other doors I need to delete. They're opening and closing nicely, and it's happening when I'm far enough away. You can choose in here proximity if you'd like, getting a little more advanced in the blueprint, but at the moment this is working very well. I'll hit escape, and I can go through and now replace my single doors and my double doors with these functioning blueprints, and then clone single left to become a single right and have the swing which way I want. I'll make one last blueprint that's a fixed door, and this way, any doors that I don't want to be able to open right now can get replaced so I can entirely delete later that interior door mesh. Remember, blueprints are a terrific way to add interactivity, and making a couple of them lets you populate the whole level, or actually the whole building, with doors that open. So get in and do some, well, it's actually coding, but you're putting it together in an easy node-based way to bring some functionality to your building.